Hi. Today I want to talk about something a little bit different, and it's a topic that not a lot of people in my profession, whether that is sales training or even sales, like to talk about. That is work-life balance. Work-life balance is something that's very important, and a lot of people know that, a lot of people don't. There's this ethos in the sales profession that says that you've got to always be on, you've got to always be selling, the old always be closing stuff. I mean, you've got to be dawn to dusk thinking sales. And I got to tell you, I interview a lot of salespeople, and I interview a lot of people who are absolutely burned out on this profession after 10, 15, 20 years, and they don't know what else to do. So they're still kind of hanging around the sales profession. They're not doing real well, but they're still taking up a desk. And so I want to talk a little bit about how to avoid that. And work-life balance is one of those things. Work-life balance is very individual, for each one of us. But every one of us has those needs to have a life outside of work. So, first of all, I'm a big believer, and owners and managers, listen up, okay? This is important. Build your job and your expectations around a hard 40-hour work week. Now, when I say a hard 40-hour work week, I don't mean 40 hours with 20 hours of actual work in it. I mean, I want salespeople to give me 40 hours of actual work, actual sales work. And if they do that, they're going to be successful enough that I don't care what they do off hours. If you build a job requiring salespeople to work 50, 60, 70 hours a week, you're probably going to have higher turnover than you should have, and you probably won't get the results that you can. There's only so many hours in a day that each one of us can be productive. So build your expectations, and salespeople, you do the same. Build your expectations around a hard 40 hours worth of work. Now, what does that hard 40 hours look like? Well, that looks like this. You've got to prioritize your time based on the value of that time. The number one most valuable time that you will spend, the number one, is eyeball to eyeball contact with customers, or video or phone contact. It is that quality FaceTime or voice time, if you're an inside salesperson, where you have the opportunity to sell and persuade. That needs to be number one. How much of that time do you get in that hard 40-hour work week? Most salespeople will probably average between 10 and 15 hours if they're doing a good job. But the more of that you can do, the more you can arrange that time so that you are getting more and more face time with your customers, the better off you're going to be. So prioritize that. That's your most valuable time. Your second most valuable time is the time that you spend arranging that high value customer contact time. So that's number two. That's your prospecting time, your follow-up time, your emailing, your calling, all those things that generate those high-value appointments. So that's number two. Number three, everything else. So build your work week around those two priorities. If you are spending more time, face-to-face time, and everybody's phone has an app on it where you can stopwatch, you can clock it. Clock the time that you spend with that high value time every week. You'll probably realize that there are ways that you can increase it. Take your personal stuff, all that personal stuff that we do, picking up the dry cleaning, stopping by the store, all that kind of stuff. Move that outside of that 40-hour work week window. Give your company, give your boss, give yourself a hard 40-hour work week with those three priorities: customer time, arranging customer time, everything else, and reduce that everything else task as much as you possibly can. You're going to be pretty successful. Now, here's something else, and this is a tip that some people don't need. I am one of those people that do. Don't be afraid to build in a little recharge time within your day. Now, when I say recharge time, I don't mean sitting in your car and taking a nap for 45 minutes. I don't know, maybe that's successful for you, but here's a little window into Troy Harrison. There's this saying in sales that says never eat lunch alone, right? The idea is you want to be taking somebody to lunch every day. I'm going to tell you a secret. When I was selling, I ate lunch alone a lot of days. Matter of fact, back in the pre-smartphone days, I used to carry a book with me when I went out and made my sales calls. And during lunchtime, if I didn't have a customer lunch planned, during lunchtime, I would go into a restaurant, I would take my book with me, I'd open that sucker up at the page, and I'd read it as I was eating lunch. That was my time to regenerate my brain, recharge a little bit. Then I could go out in the afternoon and I'd be great at sales again. But a lot of, sometimes every one of us needs different mechanisms for recharging. So don't be afraid to take and build that little bit of recharge time into your day. The idea is, it's the old saying, it's the amount of work in your hours, it's not the amount of hours in your work. And if you need those quick little me breaks to refresh your head and to get serious about what you're doing again, go ahead and take them. I had a I had a salesperson working for me several years ago at my last sales management job. Her break time, her recharge time was actually coming in, sitting down in my office, and venting to me about some call that she'd had that morning. And when she first started doing it, I did the same thing that a lot of sales managers would, which is I tried to shut down the negativity. I thought, that's negativity, can't have it. What I realized after a few days was that this was her way of recharging. She'd come in, she'd vent for sometimes 15, 20 minutes about what had gone on that morning, and then she'd go back out and she'd sit back down at her desk and she'd kick butt again. Matter of fact, I came to realize she didn't even care if I was listening to her. I used to be able to sit there and, write emails and that kind of stuff while she was doing it. She didn't care. It was her way of recharging. Whatever that is, if you need to recharge during the day, take that time to recharge. Next hint. Don't be afraid to turn it off if that's what works for you. When I say turn it off, what I mean is you don't have to be superstar salesperson 24/7. That's a ridiculous expectation. For some of us, there is a need to leave sales at work. Now, I'll be honest with you. I've never been able to completely leave my career at the office when I left for home, but some people can, some people need to. Don't be afraid to be whatever else it is you are during those off hours. Don't be afraid to be a father, a husband, a mother, a wife, a friend, a sister, a daughter, whatever. Don't be afraid to just be who you are. If you catch me during off hours, if you meet me during off hours, sometimes you'll ask me for a card and I won't have one because I'm not one of those salespeople who has always felt duty bound to carry a card with me all the time. Now, if you catch me during work hours, you ask me for a card, I'm going to go, boom, there it is. There's my card. You catch me during personal time, there's a good chance that I won't because I shut it down and I become Troy Harrison the guy, not Troy Harrison the sales navigator. Don't be afraid to do that. I'm a big believer in work hard, play hard, and work-life balance demands that it's perfectly okay for you to just be somebody else when you're not at work. Matter of fact, I'm a big believer in the idea that it's very important. Build strong relationships, build strong friendships, be a friend, just be a normal person. Work-life balance didn't used to be a thing. I'm Generation X, and the term work-life balance really has come into play during my professional career. But it is something that I believe in, and it is something that I hope you believe in too. So don't be afraid to build in work-life balance. If somebody tells you, if somebody tells you that you've got to be Mr. or Ms. Superstar Salesperson 24/7, you need to find new people to hang around with. What I have found is that if you take that time to recharge, you will be much more effective during that 40-hour window, and that's where you can really be a superstar. And hopefully you won't be one of those people sitting in front of me 10, 15, 20 years in your career, obviously burned out, obviously not in love with sales anymore, but not knowing what else you can do. If you're in front of me at all, you'll be talking to me about how much you love your career and how much you love your life. So that's today's thought, 180-day challenge, video challenge, day 3. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.